Bum 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 bum. The Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum. We got a little bit of a lightning storm outside, and that's beautiful to see because I'm from Phoenix. We don't get a whole lot of rain over there, so that's my biggest rainfall in 3 years, and that was really good. I want you guys to continue praying for a few things. I was just thinking, because at the hostel I met somebody who got successful with cryptocurrency, and he's kind of semi-retired. I was just thinking, the day I finally retire, my biggest relief is not going to be that I don't have to go to work anymore. Actually, that might be a pain more than a relief. My biggest relief is that I'll never have to see the inside of a car again. And I cannot wait to finally sign off on the title of the last car I ever owned, and maybe even give up my driver's license. I cannot wait for that day. I really can't. I really can't. I recently, believe it or not, started chatting with Marie Curie's granddaughter, Helene. I can't pronounce her last names. I just call her Helene Currie because I can't pronounce any of those names. And I really vibed well with her. She and I had discussed a couple of chemistry experiments. She even gave me some advice. I was talking about how I extracted some polonium from household dust, and I vibe really well with her. She's 97 years old, and I was just thinking that when she goes to heaven, I hope she takes me with her. I really do. I've been praying for that, just to go to heaven with her. Maybe when I go to her funeral, at the funeral, I'll just swallow a piece of her grandmother's famed invention. Although that won't instantly take you to heaven. It still takes a number of weeks, and you can still talk about how you were poisoned with that. So apparently it's not instant, right? You could still talk about how you remembered somebody putting something in your tea and all that. So apparently it's not instant. But then I'll never have to drive again. I'll never have to worry about sensitive people again. I teach at a community college, and a lot of times my colleagues get overly sensitive, almost like an entitlement, that they never have to hear anything they don't want to hear in the office. Like, for example, one day I had talked about some I had joked about a few things, and they went the wrong way. Let's just put it. I hate to even repeat it on here. It got to the point that a couple of my colleagues are just really sensitive, and I almost have a fear of talking to them because I don't know what's going to trip them. I have a few other colleagues, and not necessarily just colleagues, but people around me who talk really loudly to the point that I can't even have two words in the conversation. I sometimes use various apps. I go to various events at meetup.com. One time I was at such an event, and I wanted to use a pickup line on a girl, but I didn't even get 3 seconds in that whole event. And it's one thing to miss out on a chance with a girl. Okay, that's all right. But sometimes at the workplace, I got a big idea and I can't even speak, and then eventually the idea gets implemented and it becomes somebody else's idea, and so right. But the sensitive colleagues, the people who want to and talk loudly, the fact that I have to drive and all the other stuff, right? I used to work at a tutoring center. Now looking back at it, I can't think of any of the students at the tutoring center that I actually, Peter, disliked. It was the entire work culture. Even the students that misbehaved. I had a student who sometimes didn't manage his ADHD as well as he could, and I really vibed well with him, even when it was causing a distraction to the. He and I had a funny joke. I knew that getting him to laugh would always get him back on track. When he would disrupt the other students, I would tell him, I'm giving you 10 seconds or I'm going to take away your reward points. They get these little cards as reward points and for doing their studies, and I would count down from 10. Now, eventually, the countdowns became disruptive as well. Part of the reason I threatened to take away his reward points, it wasn't really a threat. It was more like I needed to keep myself on track too. After all, I am autistic myself. If I didn't remind myself that was not the best behavior, sometimes I get dragged down with these people. I really do sometimes. The countdown was more for me than for him. He didn't realize that though. Eventually, the countdowns got so distracting. Other students would count down with us and all that. Eventually, I just drew a rocket on his worksheet, like countdown before launch, right? And that's how well I vibed with the students. One of my students actually became the inspiration for why I started investing in bismuth and eventually making art out of it. And so, I just vibe really, really well with this. Unfortunately, then my boss would come along and burn all of that up, right? And so I want to go to a heaven where there's no HR, no toxic bosses, no sensitive people, no cars, no highways, where I can just lie in peace making art, extracting radioisotopes from our household dust, maybe even extract so much polonium I could make art out of it as well. I would imagine polonium would make crystals similar to bismuth, if only it weren't radioactive, right? It actually has even better properties than bismuth. It forms a perfect cube in terms of its crystal structure. Uh, all right. Pray that I pray that all this toxicity and danger and risk disappears from Earth. But short of that, pray that Helene takes me to heaven when she goes. This is the Peter Like Show. Bum 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 bum.